AITA for stopping everything I do for my wife after she called herself my property? I'm a 30-year-old man, and I was married to my wife, Delilah, 29, for 5 years. We met at a lame party 6 years ago. I was there with my buddy Johnny. Not gonna lie, I noticed her the second she walked in, laughing about something, with a messy ponytail and a faded band tee. Not trying too hard, like most of the girls at that party. We ended up talking all night about the dumbest stuff. Our mutual hatred for pineapple on pizza, how we both had the same weird childhood obsession with dinosaurs. You know, clickbait stuff. She wasn't like other girls I dated. No games, no drama. Just two people genuinely enjoying each other's company. Weekends were spent hiking, finding random trails, and her always insisting on taking just one more picture at the summit. She was terrified of bugs, but she'd still endure the trails just because I mentioned wanting to see some waterfall or overlook. We'd spend hours watching bad sci-fi shows, arguing about which alien race would win in a fight or which dystopian future was more likely. She'd always fall asleep during season finales, then ask me to recap everything the next morning over coffee. Our first real date was at some ridiculous sci-fi convention. I wore a Star Trek shirt, and she had an alien antenna headband. After a year of dating, we moved in together, and a year after that, we got married. Nothing fancy. Courthouse wedding, small reception at her parents' house. The first 4 years were solid. Not perfect, but good. She had her teaching job, I had my construction gig, and we had a system. I handled the house stuff and finances because I was better at it, and she managed our social life and kept up with friends and family. I busted my butt to make everything work. I was up at 5 a.m. every day, packing her lunch before I left for work, coming home and fixing whatever needed fixing. Leaky faucets, wobbly shelves, that annoying squeak on the garage door. I changed her oil every 3 months without fail, kept the bills paid, and still managed to save enough for us to take a decent vacation once a year. When her laptop died right before finals week, because she was getting her master's on the side, I picked up extra weekend shifts to buy her a new one without touching our savings. When her mom got sick last year, I handled everything so she could fly out and be with her for 2 weeks. And I never complained, because that's what partners do, right? Everything was fine until Delilah started hanging out with her friend Clara. Clara was an old college friend Delilah reconnected with on Facebook. She was the type who thinks every minor inconvenience is oppression and every man is a dictator in disguise. She had blue hair, which transitioned to purple and then green in the first month I knew her. Always wearing slogan tees about smashing the patriarchy and talking obnoxiously loud, like volume equals being right. Always pushing some cause. Always inserting things into the conversation like it was her personal mission to liberate Delilah from the horrors of having a functional marriage. At first, I thought my wife had more sense, but Clara didn't need a full conversion to cause trouble, just a little nudge to plant the seed that being taken care of wasn't a privilege but a prison. Suddenly, Clara was everywhere. Texting Delilah constantly, showing up at our house unannounced, dragging her to these empowerment brunches from which she'd come back all fired up about some new issue I was apparently unknowingly causing. The real shift started after Delilah went to one of those women's empowerment weekends Clara dragged her to. Obviously, I wasn't invited. But when she came back, she had a whole new set of buzzwords and a defiant attitude. Suddenly, every time I reminded her about a bill or asked if she'd done something, it wasn't teamwork anymore, it was controlling. Helping wasn't helping, it was mansplaining. And God forbid I point out I was doing 90% of the heavy lifting, because that just meant I was trying to make her feel weak. Like that one time, about 2 weeks after that empowerment weekend, I noticed her car inspection was due at the end of the month, like it was every year, and like I'd handled for the past 5. Hey, don't forget your car inspection is due soon. Want me to take it in on Thursday? I'm off. She looked up from her phone like I'd suggested selling her organs on the black market. I can handle my own car, you know. Sure, but I'm free Thursday, and the shop gets busy at the end of the month. Her response: why do you always keep track of my stuff? It's like you think I can't remember anything myself. Said with a dramatic eye roll that, I swear, she learned from Clara's TikToks. She also completely stopped cooking about 6 months ago. She used to handle weeknight meals and make something special on weekends. New recipes that were usually a disaster, but whatever. Then it started with, I'm too tired, or let's just order something. We ended up spending a fortune on DoorDash while good food rotted in the fridge. When I'd suggest cooking at home, she'd just shrug. Don't feel like it. Don't have enough time lately. Meanwhile, I was still handling everything. Yard work, her car inspection, clogged toilets at midnight, making sure all the insurance policies were paid, patching the roof in the pouring rain because I couldn't sleep with the sound of dripping. The woman who used to help me with house projects now couldn't even hold a flashlight while I fixed something that benefited both of us. I even built her that home office she wanted from scratch. Spent 3 weekends on it while she and Clara were off brunching and shopping. She also started dressing differently. Not that I police what she wears, never have, never will. But suddenly my wife, who always lived in jeans and hoodies, started buying designer outfits that looked ripped straight from Clara's Instagram. She was constantly taking selfies and would get annoyed if I walked into the frame while she was doing her 3rd outfit change of the day. Then the mess started. After what I thought was a normal day, i.e., one where I handled everything. Fixed her car because the check engine light had been on for 2 weeks, and she kept driving it that way. The fan belt was so loose it's a miracle it didn't break down on the highway dash. Also unclogged the bathroom sink, which appeared to be hiding a small animal. Seriously, how does that much hair get down a drain when the stopper is still in? Dash. Plus, made sure her phone bill was paid so she could keep scrolling Instagram like it was a part-time job. She'd gone over her data limit again, but I'd rather pay the extra than listen to her complain about how restrictive our phone plan was. All that, by the way, after working a 10-hour shift at the construction site in 90 degrees heat. Real husbanding standard, right? We were at the table having dinner, me eating, her scrolling through her phone with one hand. I was going over the usual, what bills needed paying, what appointments were coming up, typical adulting stuff. Mentioned that the water heater was making a weird noise. I was too busy to fix it this time, so I asked her if she'd remembered to call the plumber about the leaky shower, like she promised 3 days ago. That's when she dropped it. "I'm not your property," she blurted, dropping her fork so hard it bounced off her plate. I froze, completely dumbfounded. We were having a normal conversation about household stuff, and suddenly she goes nuclear. What the heck? She finally looked up from her phone, frowning. "Did you hear me? I'm not your property. I'm not a project for you to manage. I'm a grown woman. You can't tell me what to do. See? Seriously, I just asked if you called the plumber. It's always about what you think needs to be done, when you think it needs to be done. Did it ever occur to you that I have my own priorities?" I put my fork down. My appetite was gone. Your priority was taking a hot shower without water leaking through the ceiling. God, you micromanage everything I do. It's creepy, you know? Clara says. What? Of course Clara says, I snapped, sarcastic. I should put a plate out for her too, since she's apparently in this marriage as well. Her face flushed. Clara just helps me see things more clearly. Like how you're controlling every aspect of my life under the guise of helping. You manipulate everything to make me look like a fool. Manipulating? I'm not manipulating anything. You literally asked me yesterday to remind you about the plumber. Well, I changed my mind. I can handle it myself when I'm ready. Stop treating me like I'm incompetent. I laughed in disbelief. Fine, I said, holding up my hands in surrender. Handle it yourself. Handle it herself. Right. The same person who didn't know how to reboot the Wi-Fi without asking me first. The same person who called me at work because her car was making a weird noise. It was the gaslight. The same person who once tried to fix a leaky faucet by putting a towel under it and leaving it there all day. Wow, how interesting. It's the least you can do to respect me as an independent woman. I sat there for a minute, trying to process what was happening. This wasn't Delilah talking. This was Clara. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of getting out of bed at midnight to check on weird noises that scared her. 5 years of killing spiders because she couldn't be in the same room with them. 5 years of taking her car for oil changes because she didn't like how the mechanics talked to her. I didn't argue. There was no point. You can't argue with someone who's regurgitating Instagram sound bites in the middle of an infinite scroll. If she wanted independence that badly, who was I to stop her? Heck, I'd give her the whole package. Full autonomy, no training wheels. Every single responsibility of being her own woman, delivered right to her lap. That night, I didn't say a word. Let her go to bed thinking she delivered some epic feminist mic drop. But in my head, I was already planning the next phase. Operation Hands Off. No more Mr. Fix-It. No more walking ATM. No more human reminder. Let's see how her newfound, I can handle it all myself philosophy worked out in the real world. Game on. The next morning, the alarms went off at 5:30. I'm usually the first one up. I make the coffee, warm up her car in the winter while she takes forever getting ready. I also check her tires because she's the type who drives 3,000 miles after an oil change with the check engine light begging for mercy. But not today. Today, I stayed in bed. I hit snooze. Twice. I heard her stumbling around in the kitchen, opening and closing cabinets like the cereal was hiding from her. I heard the coffee maker beep repeatedly as she tried to figure out which buttons to push. 5 years of marriage, and she still couldn't operate the same coffee maker we'd had since day one. I scrolled through my phone, checking last night's sports scores, completely unbothered. After about 20 minutes of kitchen wrestling, she poked her head in and asked if I was planning on getting up anytime soon. Eventually, I said, without looking up from my phone. She stood there for a second, clearly expecting me to jump up and fix whatever was defeating her that morning. No dice. Later, she texted me about the water bill. Normally, I'd pay it before she even remembered it existed. This time, you can pay it. The info's in the folder. She just replied with okay. I left her on read and went back to my work. When I got home, the kitchen faucet was still dripping. Normally, I would have fixed it before she even noticed the puddle. This time, I just stepped around it and made myself a sandwich. She was starting to notice. I could feel her staring from the doorway, like she expected some kind of explanation. Was I sick? Mad? Having a stroke? But there wouldn't be any explanation. The garbage, not my job. Her car, making that weird noise. Her problem. The Wi-Fi going out because the router needed rebooting. Sounds like a personal issue. The delayed Amazon packages and the unrenewed subscriptions. I figured she could figure out what happens when Prime stops priming on her own. By the end of the day, the tension was thick enough to spread on toast. She was giving me this confused, half-annoyed look, but not annoyed enough to actually admit something was wrong. Fine by me. I wasn't looking for some big confrontation, just giving a live demonstration of what independence actually looks like when you no longer have a husband silently handling all the boring details that keep your life running. The best part, I wasn't angry or resentful. I just felt free, like when you finally take off a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. I was the single point of failure for her life's equilibrium. Welcome to independent living, sweetheart. No refunds. The next morning, I was up first. Not because I had some noble urge to make her coffee, but because I wanted to enjoy my own morning. I made my coffee, just enough for my thermos, and fixed myself a proper breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, the works. Normally I'd be rushing, making sure Delilah had everything she needed for the day, but today my only concern was whether the Lakers would make the playoffs. Around 7:30, she shuffled in, half asleep, with that dazed just woke up look. She glanced at the coffee maker. You didn't make me coffee? I didn't know you needed my permission to push a button. That earned me a side eye, but she didn't say much. Just sighed and started wrestling with the coffee maker. And let me tell you, watching her try to adjust her own settings on a machine we'd had for years was like watching someone defuse a bomb with oven mitts. Too much water, too little coffee, forgot to put the filter in right. It was entertaining. Then, about her car, she asked, "Are you taking the car for an oil change?" "Not your car. But you always do it." "Not anymore." She didn't argue, at least not then. Just grabbed her keys and left. That day, the little things started to pile up. For her, not me. The garbage was still there from yesterday, and she noticed after work. The whole entryway smelled like last night's salmon. When she finally took the garbage out, she practically slammed the door to make sure I heard it. Not my problem. I just turned up the volume on the game I was watching. Dinner. I made my own. A steak and some microwave potatoes. Simple but good. I didn't make extra. I didn't set the table for two. I didn't even mention dinner plans. She walked in, sniffed the air, and asked if I hadn't made anything for us. Without looking up from the TV, I told her she could make her own food. The look on her face, like someone just told her Santa Claus didn't exist. The faucet was still dripping, worse actually. But instead of asking me to fix it, she pulled up some janky YouTube tutorial and decided to try it herself. From the living room, I heard the clatter of tools hitting the floor, a few muttered swear words, and then the unmistakable sound of water hitting the floor with more force than before. 10 minutes later, she walked past me, grabbed her phone, and called a plumber. I didn't so much as twitch a muscle to help. That night, as she stood in the kitchen staring at the pile of dirty dishes, I could see the gears turning in her head. There was no speech, no accusations, just this slow, heavy realization that independence wasn't the all-inclusive vacation package she'd imagined. Before bed, she hit me with the classic, "Is something wrong?" I smiled at her. "Everything's exactly how you wanted it." She didn't have a response to that. Day 3 of Operation Independence, and I was thriving. My meals, simple, hot, and enjoyed in peace without someone reminding me we were out of whatever random superfood she'd seen on TikTok that week. My evenings, quiet, without lists, without reminders, without the classic "can you?" which, for some reason, always came right as I sat down. Midweek, she came home exhausted, hair half up, mascara smudged under one eye. She looked around. Lights off, except where I was. Fridge half empty, because I only shopped for my meals. Not a single chore done that didn't directly benefit me. And I swear, for a second, I saw her soul leave her body. "You didn't go grocery shopping?" she asked. "Nope. I'm good with what's left." I was sprawled on the couch, comfortable as a cat in a sunbeam. That's when the cracks started to show. Not loudly or dramatically, just little things, like the way she kept checking the mail like the bills were going to pay themselves, or how she kept swiping through her phone, probably Googling how to unclog the vacuum cleaner now that she no longer had her personal tech support. Then came the car. The oil change still hadn't happened, and the check engine light had gone from an occasional blink to permanently on. She finally asked me, "Where did we always take it?" Like she hadn't been in the passenger seat every time I'd taken care of it for years. Google it. That answer earned me the "who are you right now?" look, but she didn't argue. Not yet. Still in the pride phase where she couldn't admit this new, independent life was less empowering without a human safety net following her around with a toolbox and a credit card. Her first major stumble came Thursday night. She had one of those important Zoom meetings for her department where everyone pretends they're not wearing pajama pants. 20 minutes before the call, the Wi-Fi went out. Normally, she'd yell my name, I'd reboot the router, and life would go on. This time, she walked into the living room with her laptop cradled in her arms like it was a wounded animal. "The Wi-Fi's out," she said, expecting me to jump up and fix it. Okay. I didn't even pause the show I was watching. She waited. We both knew what she wanted. The old me. The problem-solving husband who jumped to fix everything. But that guy was on permanent vacation. "Are you going to fix it?" "Nope. You live here too." "Yes, and you're perfectly capable of restarting a router." She stomped off like a teenager who'd just been told to clean her room. She spent 10 minutes pushing random buttons on the router, and then finally called customer service, something she hadn't done once in our entire marriage. I continued watching my show, blissfully unaffected by her tech woes. Friday rolled around, and by then the house was a visual documentary on what happens when I stop being the foreman. The garbage was still by the door. The bag she took out midweek apparently didn't inspire a second round, so the new one was keeping the old one company. The sink had officially crossed over into health code violation territory. The fridge contained nothing but bad decisions and expired yogurt, besides the few things I'd bought just for myself. She came home looking utterly done. She kicked off her shoes the second she walked in. I was still chilling, playing on my PS4. She dropped her bag by the entryway, stared at me for a full 5 seconds, and snapped. "Seriously? You're not going to do anything." "Do what?" I barely glanced up. She threw her arms out like she was trying to guide a plane to a landing. "This, the mess, the garbage, the bills, the sink, the car, everything." I gave her a quick once-over. Not my mess. That broke something in her. I could see it happen in real time. "You live here too. You can't just sit here while everything falls apart." "Sure I can," I said deadpan. Independent people manage their own messes. And that's when she lost it. Not crying or yelling. Just that classic bottled up, I'm fine rage when they're really about to blow. "What is your problem?" "Nothing," I replied calmly, knowing it would infuriate her more. "Just respecting your boundaries." "What boundaries?" I leaned forward. "You said, I'm not your property." "Great. That means I'm not your responsibility either. Can't have it both ways." She stood there, processing my words. I could see her mind scrambling for a comeback, but she wasn't ready to admit the truth. She liked independence when it was theoretical, Instagram-worthy feminism. But actual independence, That's just unpaid labor with no one to blame but yourself. And that's when the frustration started to leak out. Not in some big dramatic speech, but in little bursts as she paced the kitchen, slamming cabinet doors, muttering about how immature, childish, and passive-aggressive I was being. All without taking a shred of responsibility for the fact that I was merely following her lead. She'd said the words, I was just taking them seriously. Funny how that works. This isn't a partnership, is it? I said, completely calm. You canceled it when you decided you were a solo act. What's that supposed to mean? Her voice hit peak frustration. It means, I said, standing up, that you can't call yourself independent when you've been leaning on me like a crutch for years. I gestured around. You wanted space? You got it. You wanted no one managing your life? Congrats, I'm not. And now you're realizing it wasn't the accomplishment you thought it was. Silence. She didn't have a response, because it was the truth. And few things tick off someone in full meltdown mode more than being confronted with their own reflection. I walked past her and grabbed my keys. Where are you going? She asked. Out, I said. Figured you had everything under control. Sunday morning arrived with zero urgency on my part. I'd crashed at my friend John's place Friday night, slept on his couch, and spent Saturday helping him build a new deck. I got home late and found it eerily quiet. Delilah was either asleep or pretending to be. Didn't matter to me. I slept like a log, woke up whenever I felt like it, and started my Sunday with absolutely zero agenda. No to-do lists, no quick favors that mysteriously eat up half the day, no errands I never signed up for. Just me, my coffee, and the sweet silence of a man whose only concern was what he chose to put on his own plate. I could hear Delilah moving around upstairs. She'd cleaned up some of the mess while I was gone. Not all of it, but enough to show she'd made an effort. The dishes were done, the garbage finally out, the counters at least wiped down. I took my coffee out to the back porch. Perfect spring morning, temperature just right. Scrolled through my phone, checked last night's game scores, completely at peace. And that's when she found me. 20 minutes later, she stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I didn't invite her to sit. We need to talk. The classic opener to conversations men never enjoy, and usually means you need to talk. She stood there for a moment. This isn't what I wanted. Then what did you want? I finally asked, without looking at her. Because you were the one who said you didn't want to feel like my property. You were the one who said it made you feel weak, that I was controlling you. You didn't want me managing your life. So I stopped. Simple. Then came the "this isn't fair" and a few more complaints about how much she was struggling. Silence stretched between us. I let it grow. Sometimes you have to let the quiet do the talking. Finally, she cracked. I can't do this. Do what? All of this. She made a sweeping gesture with her hand, encompassing the air around her. There it was again, that arm-flailing move, like she was trying to round up the house, the bills, the car, the chores. It's all too much. I gave her a look of half curiosity, half amusement. Huh, I've been doing all of that for years. Funny how that works. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Enjoying, I said, but definitely observing. She knew exactly what I meant. It was about letting reality be the teacher. When you carry all the weight for so long, the other person forgets how heavy it actually is. And when you drop it, there are only two options. They either learn, or they crumble. Delilah was crumbling, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to help her back up. The point is, I wasn't trying to teach her a lesson. I was trying to figure out if she was worth saving. Because now that I'd tasted my own time, my own peace, my own priorities, the idea of going back to being the guy who silently did it all, without so much as a thank you, that guy was dead, buried, and I wasn't planning on digging him up. Finally, she asked the real question. Now what? You want me to apologize so everything can go back to normal? And there it was. My decision point. Do you want to fix this? I asked. I'm open to it. But here's the deal. The old system is gone. Forever. She straightened up, ready to argue. But I kept talking. And it's on my terms. We split everything. Not just the bills, the house, the chores, the errands, the invisible labor is over. You want a partner? Great. That means you pull your weight. You handle your own problems. I'm not your scheduler, your house manager, or your personal maintenance crew. You're a grown, independent, strong woman. Act like it. And if you ever, and I mean ever, pull that "I'm not your property" routine on me again, then you can pack your bags and be independent somewhere else. She saw I wasn't bluffing. She didn't argue further. There wasn't anything left to say. After a long, awkward silence, she finally made it clear what she wanted. She wasn't okay with the terms. Turns out, Delilah couldn't handle the new reality where she had to carry her own weight. So I closed the subject. The next morning, I filed for divorce. It's been a little over a year since the divorce was finalized. After our porch conversation, I saw her texting Clara that I was being controlling for refusing to help her. Apparently, expecting equal effort in a marriage is now the new patriarchy. The damage was done. The divorce was clean. My lawyer was good, so the split was pretty straightforward. I kept the house. I was paying for it anyway. She got half the savings, which wasn't much, because guess who was handling the finances responsibly? We went our separate ways. Delilah moved in with Clara immediately. I heard through mutual friends that Clara was all jazzed about the divorce until she realized having a roommate meant living with another human being. Apparently, Delilah wasn't exactly the best roommate. Dishes in the sink, clothes everywhere, never paying bills on time. You know, all the stuff I used to handle for her. Heard they had a massive blow-up 3 months into living together when Clara realized feminism doesn't pay the electric bill. Through the grapevine, i.e., our old neighbor, Mrs. Chun, who loves gossip more than oxygen, I learned Delilah started dating some entrepreneur dude a few months after moving in with Clara. Dude drove a BMW, or so he claimed, and called himself a crypto visionary, or some other nonsense. Meanwhile, I've been living my best life. Got a promotion at work, because it turns out when you're not spending all your energy keeping another person's life in order, you can actually focus on your own. Started working out again, lost the 15 pounds that had crept on during my marriage, reconnected with friends Delilah never could stand, and even started seeing a great girl named Amber who, get this, knows how to reboot a router on her own. Crazy, right? She has her own place, her own career, and doesn't need a human instruction manual to function as an adult. So, yeah, life was good until last weekend. I'm on my new deck, grilling some steaks, enjoying the peace, when a car pulls up. A beat-up Civic that sounds like it's one pothole away from death. And who gets out? Delilah. She looks awful. Hair in a messy bun, coffee-stained sweatpants, eyes puffy like she'd either been crying or hadn't slept in days. She walks toward my porch like she still has some right to be there. I don't invite her up. Just keep flipping my steaks. Can we talk? She asks, trying to look sad and vulnerable. Oh, now we talk. I reply, checking my meat thermometer. Perfect medium rare. Gordon Ramsay would be proud. She shifts uncomfortably. Well, I know it's been a year, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. Things haven't been going well. Clara kicked me out. She finally admits. Said she couldn't handle the negative energy anymore. And your new boyfriend? I ask, referring to the crypto douche. He left. His investment opportunity didn't work out. Translation, his scam imploded and he ran. So you're here because, I say, even though I already know the answer, but I want her to say it out loud. I thought maybe we could talk about us. About trying again. I laugh. I can't help it. The audacity is just too much. There is no us, Delilah. There's a me, living my life, and a you facing the consequences of your choices. She starts to cry. Classic Delilah move. You don't understand. It's been so hard. I can't find a decent place to live. I'm behind on all my payments. My credit score is in the toilet. Sounds like you need someone to manage your life for you. To pay your bills, to fix everything. Weird. It's almost like you had that and threw it away because your blue-haired friend told you it was oppression. Clara was wrong, she whispers. I see that now. And then comes the pathetic kicker. Can I stay here for a while? Just until I get things sorted out. I have nowhere to go. I plate my steak and add the roasted potatoes I prepared earlier. Not my problem. Please, she begs. I made a mistake. I don't correct her. You made a choice. Several, actually. And now you're living with those choices. So, you're just going to leave me on the street? She asks. You're an independent woman, Delilah. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Now, if you don't mind, I have a date in an hour and need to shower. You're seeing someone? Yes. Someone who actually understands what a partnership means. I think you should go. Can I at least use your bathroom? She asks. Gas station, 2 blocks that way. I reply, pointing down the street. Figure out your own bathroom situation. The look on her face, priceless. Rage, shame. I close the door and go back to my dinner. So that's it. When I started writing this, I honestly wondered if I was the bad guy for basically going on strike in my own marriage. But after writing it all out, seeing it there so clearly, I'm pretty sure I did what anyone would have done in my position. Edit. Holy moly. This blew up. RIP my inbox. Thanks for all the awards, I guess. Didn't think so many people would enjoy the dumpster fire that was my marriage. Edit 2. For everyone saying this is fake, cool story bro, wish it was. Right now I'm eating dinner alone on my new deck, which I built with my own two masculine, toxic hands, while enjoying the sweet sound of not having someone tell me I'm doing it wrong. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.